I'm going to start my story with my grandma Jacinta, or Mama Chinta as we call her. She was born in the late 1800s, and she got married when she was just a child. She had her first daughter when she was 13. When her husband passed away soon after, she was married off to a relative of her husband. That's when she had my grandmother, Mama Regi, as we fondly refer to. And they were pretty lucky for a while, living off the land Mama Chinta's husband had given her. And then, the Volcano Parangaricutirimícuaro, or Paricutin for short, destroyed their homes and their land, and they had to move to a different town where they were extremely poor and pretty much only had chayotes and sweet potatoes to eat. That's when my mom, Gloria, was born, in a little town called Sirosto, in a place called Sipicha. That's her on the right, where there's a spring and tons of water. Sadly, the place where my mom and family moved after didn't have as much water, and they had to go through great lengths to get it. My mom told me she still remembers the first time she used soap. She couldn't believe how nice it smelled. It was a luxury product for sure. My mom never enjoyed being in the kitchen. Her older sisters would make fun of her for being clumsy and burning herself the few times she tried. She spent a lot of time outdoors, in the forest and the fields, helping my grandpa. Because of her love for the countryside, where plants were called her little sisters, she later would decide her career of studying plants, fruits, and vegetables. This is where she found her safe place and formed her fondness for the flora where, unlike some of her harsh, disciplinary experiences in her youth with other caretaking relatives, she knew that plants were kind, caring, and would never hurt or harm her. She was the first person in her whole family to have a college degree, ever, and it was in agronomic engineering. As well, she also obtained her master's in plant pathology. Her gift was in understanding our immense population of grandchildren in Mother Earth. She worked really hard and became part of the Mexican National Network of Investigators. People will talk about her because of her leadership and independent spirit. They will make up rumors trying to diminish her merits, but she never gave up. It wasn't until I was born that she realized that she will have to make more sacrifices in order for me and my brother to have the love and attention we needed to develop. She had an early retirement and became a stay-at-home mom, which wasn't an easy task. Besides being a full-time mom, she had to help my dad in a self-started women's clinic that was set in her own house. She took great care of many women as a contemporary curandera. To this day, women patients still ask about her because of her great care and love that she put into everything she did. Her strong and kind spirit didn't come on its own. She learned it from her mom and her grandma, who were both amazing in their own right. And it's my mother Gloria on the far left, and my great aunt Carolina in the blue, who are my namesakes. I'm Gloria Carolina. Which brings me to the other side of my family, my dad's mom and great aunt, who raised him extremely well despite being in extremely poor conditions. My granny Esther came from a tiny town in the Purepecha Sierra. She was one of the only girls who learned how to read and was studying different craftsmanship in an abroad school, which was extremely rare for a Purepecha girl back in the day. Her indigenous mother was too afraid to let her be so far from her family, so she tricked my grandma into coming back without finishing her education. She married and she had 13 children. She always wanted something better for her kids, so she moved to the state's capital, Morelia. And while it was my dad who had all the great artist skills, he knew he had to help his mom and grandma support his siblings. So he decided to study medicine with the support of my great aunt Carolina. Both of my parents had struggled a lot during their youth and had fallen in love with Uruapan, Michoacán, the town where I was born, because of the abundance of water, fruits, and resources. It's a beautiful city with a beautiful national park filled with waterfalls. There are two big inspirations in my artwork, my family and my hometown, Uruapan, Michoacán. Thanks to the support of my family, I was able to study animation and digital art in el Tecnológico de Monterrey in Guadalajara. I learned many things. However, the biggest thing I realized was that I had several options of choosing a career within the animation industry. I want you all to know that you don't have to be an animator to be a part of it. I always enjoyed the pre-production of animation a lot better. Later, I was able to work as a performer at Walt Disney World in International College Program, where I was able to bring the characters I will later have a hand in creating, meeting all the people and sharing their enthusiasm as a real-life character. Spoiler alert, that's me in your favorite honeypot stealer costume. Indeed, as you can see, the power of storytelling comes in many forms and needs to be illuminated every single day, no matter what calls you to be in the world. And I was able to graduate with my family, proudly in attendance. Even my abuelita is there. Although I didn't have a quinceañera on my graduation, I wore a tiara in celebration. After graduating and in my journey to learn even more, I found about the Academy of Art in San Francisco. And once again, thanks to the support of my family, I was able to attend and get an MFA in visual development, like the pre-production side of conceptualizing animated art. I had amazing teachers and met wonderful people who inspired me. That's when I truly realized and discovered how incredible my culture, our culture is, and how much people from all over the world love Mexico and Latin American countries. For the first time, I started telling my own stories and drawing people that reflected who I am and who my family is. That was work from my thesis. Okay. In 2018 and at the formal graduation, my parents were finally able to attend. They hadn't visited San Francisco for a long, long time. And they let me know how proud they were of me and how important getting my education was to them. One of the things that changed my life while attending my master's was meeting my friend Mirel Ortega, an amazing artist. Please check her work out. It's beautiful. That's her work. I was surprised to see how she will always draw people of color so naturally, and she didn't have to have any of the demeaning internalized racism I had because of the color of my skin. And sadly, I had been taught from an early age about the negative aspects of colorism, as I was told by my relatives in my family in my mom's side, that my father had made me through his excrement. How tragic that my relatives choose to pass along these hurtful messages and were never able to honor themselves and feel proud of their own skin. Not that long ago, with the guidance of my friend Mirel, I submitted my portfolio to Astound US, an illustration agency in New York and London. I signed my contract with them, and soon after I started working on my first book project called Nuestra América, where I created 30 portraits of Latinas and Latinos who shaped the story of the United States. It just came out last month and it's available on Amazon. Since then, I've had the opportunity to illustrate many more books, like the illustrated book about the Cuban ballet dancer Alicia Alonso. It's due out next year. I moved to LA, and while I was introduced to many celebrated people and attended many studio events, it wasn't all fun and giggles, or miel sobre hojuelas, like we say. During this time, I struggled finding a place to stay and had to crash my friend's inflatable bed for a few months, while making around 4 unpaid artists that all got rejected. And now, being in the City of Angels, I was chosen to work on the Coco's Hollywood Bowl show concert experience. I created paintings that were projected in the huge Hollywood Bowl arch that were seen by thousands of people. It was a full circle moment to me because I loved Coco when it came out, and I had never imagined that I would be able to do anything related to that. So far, I've created many memories with groups of fellow and sister animators, among several other programs I'm involved with. And last year, I was invited to speak at the Long Beach Comic Con and the School of Art Institute of Chicago. Another full circle moment, as my abuelita Caro had once told my dad that had she been born male, she would have been working in Chicago without a doubt. Being an artist is a huge privilege that I do not take for granted. Knowing all the sacrifices that my mom and my grandmothers had to make back then, it was almost impossible for them to work in creative fields. Now that I'm an illustrator and visual development artist, I have them to thank. And it's my duty and calling to tell their stories through my art. To share all the amazing things that accomplished out of pure love for their families. I know now that I'm here to help others share their stories with visual gifts. And this is what makes me happy and feeds my artistic soul.